Public meetings of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi in Holy Qom. The house of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi in the holy city of Qom hosted another round of the public meetings of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi. In these meetings, the Grand Jurist meets various groups of seminarians, clerics, religious scholars, activists, and the public groups of people. Discussions on Islamic jurisprudence and beliefs are also part of these meetings. Temporary office of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi hosts pilgrims of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. The temporary office of the Grand Shia Jurist Ayatollah Shirazi in the holy city of Karbala hosted the public groups of believers and the pilgrims of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, on the 16th day of its activities. This office also hosted many cultural, scientific, religious, and social figures, as well as the representatives of the Islamic authorities, clerics, and seminarians, answering religious questions of the pilgrims, hosting panel discussions, congregational prayers, distributing cultural packages, including the books of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi among the pilgrims, are among the other activities of this center. Office of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi commemorates Arbaeen of 2021. The office of the Grand Jurist Ayatollah Shirazi in Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, held a ceremony to commemorate the day of Arbaeen, which marks the 40th day after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. This ceremony hosted many cultural and religious figures and the public groups of pilgrims who listened to a lecture by Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Tawakkuli. Office of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi hosts young religious activists from Kuwait. The office of the Grand Jurist Ayatollah Shirazi in the holy city of Karbala hosted groups of young religious activists from Kuwait on the 20th of Safar 2021. These visitors, who were welcomed by Sayyid Mehdi Shirazi, listened to statements by the son of the late Grand Jurist with respect to the high position of the pilgrims of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. This office also hosted groups of scholars and clerics, including Sheikh Najah At-Tahi. Holding religious ceremonies were also part of the activities of this center. Zainabiya Seminary organizes Arbaeen March in Damascus, Syria. The Islamic Seminary of Zainabiya, affiliated with the office of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi in Damascus, Syria, organized a public march to commemorate the day of Arbaeen. This ceremony was attended by large numbers of pilgrims who walked in the route between the shrines of Lady Ruqayya and Lady Zainab, peace be upon them. Many clerics, representatives of Islamic authorities, religious and cultural figures, and the general public took part in this ceremony. The believers in this march held banners of mourning and chanted slogans to honor the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. It is worth noting that this march is organized by Zainabiya Seminary each year in compliance to the orders of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi. House of Sayyid Ahmed Shirazi hosts commemorations of the day of Arbaeen in Kuwait. Sayyid Ahmed Shirazi, son of the Grand Jurist Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, hosted series of religious commemorative ceremonies at his house to mark the day of Arbaeen. These ceremonies were attended by many cultural and religious figures who met with the Grand Jurist's son after these ceremonies. Activities by PR Office of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi in Iraq. Sayyid Arif Nasrullah, the PR manager of the Grand Jurist Ayatollah Shirazi in Holy Karbala, continues to visit volunteer groups and mawaqib during the Arbaeen walk. In these visits, Mr. Nasrullah visited the Center for the Shias from Saudi Arabia and honored their tireless efforts. Aside from these visits, Mr. Nasrullah offered a plaque of appreciation on behalf of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi to thank all the members of the large Husseini project. He then hinted that serving the movement of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, is a great honor and everyone should be proud of this great service. Furthermore, Mr. Nasrullah explained about the large Husseini project in an interview. He hinted that this project provides resting place and residence, aside from food and beverages, to the pilgrims. More than 30,000 pilgrims reside at these centers on a daily basis. Other services such as donating meat to needy and volunteer groups, as well as the transportation of the pilgrims and the elderly, are also part of the activities of the Husseini Large Project. It is worth noting that this project was launched by the direct orders of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi back in 2005. Azizatul-Hussein community honors Day of Arbaeen 2021 in Lebanon. The community of Azizatul-Hussein, affiliated with the office of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi in Beirut, the capital of Lebanon, held a ceremony to honor the day of Arbaeen, hosting large numbers of Shia believers and lovers of Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. These believers listened to a lecture by Sheikh Rizwan Darwish in this ceremony.